On the 24th of September, the family of Marcano was plunged into a sadness that would last a lifetime. The day had started like any normal day, but before nightfall, it had begun to dawn on them that their lives would never remain the same. 19-year-old Marcano was born in Florida to Marlon and Emma. She had a little brother whom she nicknamed Munchie. Her parents had separated when she was little, but they remained close. Perhaps this would explain why she was extra protective of her brother. She was a boisterous girl who took her studies seriously. Everyone already knew she was going to be successful because of her fun, ambitious, and adventurous nature. Miya loved Florida so much that she had planned on attending the University of Central Florida, but somehow she settled for Valencia College to pursue a discipline in art. After completing her studies, she had planned to train in either sports medicine or physiotherapy. Also, she loved fashion and beauty, and anyone who has seen or spent time with her would see the light in her eyes whenever she discussed her plans. While at Valencia College, she was staying in the Arden Villa apartment complex, a building that housed other students from the same college. She also got a job helping with the lease in the complex, so she had extra money to splurge on herself apart from the stipend coming from home. Miya was close to her family, so it was a good thing that any time she wanted to go home to be with her family, all she needed was a 1-hour flight. This was the life of Miya, and everything was going perfectly well until one day in September 2021. Like every other day, she had packed her bag to be with her family on that fateful day in September. But when she didn't call to inform her parents that she had gotten to the airport as she normally would, they began to get worried. Their worry only increased with each passing moment that no text message came from her. By the time the clock struck 9:30 on that Friday night, her family knew without being told that something awful had happened to Miya. They could only hope that she was okay wherever she was. When her father could no longer take it, he made a phone call to the Orange County Sheriff's Department that a search be made about her daughter, who was due home a few hours ago. They gave all the information that the police requested, including her apartment number in Arden Villas. An officer was appointed to conduct a wellness check. He got to the apartment, but no one was around, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. So he did the most natural thing to do. He waited till Miya's roommate got back so he could have access. When they returned, he knocked on the door, but no response came. What was also alarming was that the door seemed to have been locked from the inside. He circled back to check the window, and that was when he realized that something was amiss. A bookcase had been pushed to the door in what seemed like an attempt to stop someone from getting in or out. When he was eventually able to get inside her room, the whole place had been turned upside down. Her room was disorganized. It looked like somebody had had a fight and left the place in a hurry. In a corner, Miya's travel bag, which had been packed in readiness for her trip home, was placed against the wall, a piece of evidence that showed she had not gone to the airport before whatever took her got to her. The next day, when her family member arrived, her father noted that the brace he personally made on the window for extra security had been broken. The next day, which was a Saturday, shed more light on the exact state of her room as the previous day's search had been done in the night. Her bedding was scattered and the pillow slips had red stains on them. At this point, her parents had begun to give in to despair, as they could already tell that whatever happened in that room couldn't be good. When the police asked her roommates, who were at this point disorientated and sad at the thought of never seeing their friend again, they did not waste time giving the police a name that came to their mind. So, who was this fellow? Was he also a student, or just another neighbor? He was neither, and his name was Armando Manuel Caballero. Caballero was employed as a maintenance staffer at Arden's Villa. What made Miya's roommate give his name, in case you are wondering, was because he had been showering Miya a series of unwanted attention up to the time of her disappearance. The 27-year maintenance worker had been pestering Miya to go on a date with him. Her roommates recounted how Caballero was always looking for her to talk to her, but the 19-year-old Miya, who wanted nothing but to finish college in good time and pursue her other dreams, had rejected all his advances. At some point, when Caballero saw that Miya would not be swayed by his words, he tried another tactic, which was to transfer a whopping sum of $700 to her via Cash App. For an apartment maintenance worker who had only been employed in June of that year, that money was a lot. Miya was a smart girl who saw the writing on the wall that the man was obsessed with her and quickly transferred the money back to him. It was also at this point that other women who had had issues with Caballero started coming out to corroborate the story of Miya's roommates. While none of them had disappeared like Miya, they had also had their fair share of Caballero's pestering and obsession. During the investigation, Miya's parents pointed the police's attention to Miya's teddy bear that she had always taken with to anywhere she went, no matter how short the trip was. This was to further confirm their fears to the police that something was wrong. Around 4 a.m., Caballero showed up at Miya's apartment, and going by what had been relayed to Miya's parents, they knew who he was. The police wasted no time in questioning him. First, they asked him what he was doing there at that time when he was supposed to be off work. To that, he said someone had informed him that Miya was missing and that he had only come around to show his concern and help in any way he could. Now that would have been welcomed if it had come from someone else, and not Caballero, who had been obsessing over Miya since he started working at Arden Villa. He was asked why he had been stalking Miya and sending unwanted text messages. He denied ever doing any of that, or even sending him his life savings of $700. When the police saw how uptight he was, they threatened to get a warrant to pull his phone records and also to search his house and phone. Everything was beginning to add up, but since they had no tangible evidence to nail him and conduct an arrest, he was allowed to leave. The moment he turned around, a criminal search was run on him on the database, and what they found was jaw-dropping, to say the least. Caballero had been picked up for aggravated assault in 2017 and having a deadly weapon in 2013. He has also been nabbed for using a destructive device that resulted in property damage and discharging arms on a school property. A deputy sheriff used a piece of tape to lift the fingerprint on Maya's window, but he never submitted it for processing, because he didn't think it was a high-priority case. The Orange County Sheriff's Department still didn't arrest Caballero because they didn't have enough evidence and didn't want to carry out an arrest based on a hunch. As for Maya's family, they wouldn't give up and rely on what the Sheriff's Department was doing. To them, they weren't doing enough, and each minute of Maya's disappearance was a ticking tragedy waiting to be discovered. Unsatisfied with the sheriff's manner of handling the case, Miya's aunt reported to a different sheriff who, after hearing about Miya and the suspect's activities, found it mind-boggling that he took action immediately. The first thing he did was to notify a missing person detective who would get to the bottom of the case with the resources at his disposal. On the 25th of September 2021, a missing person case file was formally opened. This was especially necessary after Miya's family disclosed what they found, having embarked on a covert surveillance of Caballero themselves. Once, from the distance where they packed their car, they were able to observe him coming out of his house with gloves, a backpack, and a pink blanket that belonged to Miya. A search warrant, which took too long to obtain, was eventually obtained, but the warrant allowed them to only look and not touch anything. A few days later, on the 27th of September, the police discovered a maintenance-issued master key fob had been used to gain access to Miya's apartment 30 minutes before she was to return to her room on the day she was supposed to travel home to her family. Further investigation also revealed that Caballero had the same key fob and could have entered the room ahead of Miya, catching her off guard before abducting her. All of this was plausible given his obsessive nature and the way he had chased Miya before her disappearance. On that same day, surveillance picked up Caballero's car leaving Arden's villa. At this point, the police felt they had been equipped with enough evidence to make a real arrest, but to their utmost surprise, the dead body of Caballero was what they found from what looked like a suicide. Once the sole suspect was dead, the case became knotty as they had to start all over since Miya was still missing. Amidst sorrow and helplessness, the search continued, but exactly 8 days after Maya's disappearance, the police received a call that a body had been found in Orlando among an overgrown bush. The decomposing body was eventually identified to be Miya's. Her limbs were bound and her mouth was taped shut. While there was no evidence as to the body being violated, she must have been murdered before her body was dumped at the site. The forensics found the same duct that had been used on Miya in Caballero's car. Also, nail marks on Caballero were assumed to be those of Miya, ones that were sustained during a struggle. Needless to say, Miya's parents were very devastated. Their daughter's life had been snatched before it had a chance to begin. On top of that, the chief suspect had taken his own life before the long arm of the law could catch him and mete out the right punishment to him. Miya's father was inconsolable as he felt both the police and Arden Villa management had let her daughter down. He noted that there was no adequate security and surveillance camera to capture an occurrence like that at the villa. Furthermore, he felt the police departments had not given his daughter's case enough attention. He said he could recall how the officer in charge did not report certain details like the blood-stained pillows and broken window braces to his superior. He believed that logging those details would have made the case to be filed as a missing endangered person earlier instead of a voluntary missing person. The sloppiness of the police, according to Marcano, was responsible for his daughter's death. Although the department apologized and the villa promised to take proactive measures going forward, nothing could bring Miya or her infectious laughter back. On October 15, 2021, Miya was finally buried with family and friends present. Let us know your opinions in the comments below. Do like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more crime stories. Take care. Bye.